Hey, good evening, good afternoon. This is Harry from Spurs TV. I'm back with another stream today. I've got Carl back again with me. Carl, you right?
Yeah, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, second time this week.
Yeah, I know, mate. It's becoming a regular.
Yeah, I was on your show on Monday, and now you're here Wednesday. And Jordan, I've got a Liverpool fan here today. Jordan, you right?
Yeah, man, I'm happy. Looking forward to weekend game. I'm buzzing.
Did you watch the Spurs Arsenal game by any chance?
Yes.
Okay,
It
because
was
we're
a
going to
close
speak a little
game.
bit about that first, and then we'll go into the Liverpool game. So, yeah. So if you just keep in mind what you saw. Hey, so Carl, obviously we've spoken about this a lot more on Monday, which was only a couple of days ago. But what do you think of the performance overall, first of all?
Yeah, I thought it was a good performance. So, I think we said before in the build up to the game, didn't we, that if we went there and, my main aim was making sure we went there and didn't get steamrolled like we have done on previous visits to the Emirates. And, I was okay with losing if it was a tight game where we've given them a match. But I didn't want to see us kind of get brushed aside 3-0 or so and basically the game be almost men v boys. And I think, we managed to achieve that, didn't we? I think, I've seen people saying, Spurs should have beat Arsenal. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think when you look back on the balance of the game, I think it was a pretty even game. And ultimately, I think the draw was probably the right result at the end of the game because, they had chances where they probably could have scored another goal. We had chances where we could have got another goal. So I don't think any one team probably did enough to win the game. But I'll definitely take the draw. I think, we said before the game, it was a litmus test to see where we were as a team. And ultimately, you have to say we came through it really well. And it gives us a bit of confidence going into future fixtures now and gives us a bit more confidence of where we might be able to go through for the rest of this season. We might be able to aim a little bit higher than we probably were at the start of the season.
So do you think after that, obviously we have Liverpool on Saturday, and we'll talk about it in a bit, but do you think we should be aiming for at least Europe? And do you think talk of the title is not premature? Because obviously some of our fans will be talking of the title.
Yeah, I mean, talk of a title is definitely premature because ultimately, I don't see us being able to get into that top 2 come the end of the season. But we should definitely be aiming for a top 6 finish, given the fact that we don't have European football. We won't have a lot of midweek fixtures. We'll have a week between lots of games. So if we can keep that first 11 fit for most of the season and not pick up any big injuries, then I don't see why we definitely can't qualify within the top 6 and get a European place back.
Did you watch any of the Spurs Arsenal game at all?
You cut out there for a minute.
Yeah, no, I was focusing on my team Sunday gone where one of my friends was being watched along for that game, the Arsenal game, and well, Saka scored a brace. Son Heung-min, big up to you guys, new captain indeed. But it was a close game. Big up to James Madison. But I think we're coming to you guys home ground on the weekend, so we might do them a favor because they didn't do us a favor against Everton, but we have to play our ball game. But they're depending on us to beat the guys on Saturday because they were looking to slap the guys up. But the guy deserve the guy got the game. But it was a great game though at the Emirates, man, and well done by you guys.
Did you think Spurs were going to lose that game?
Well, the Arsenal fans they want to win, but for me especially, I did want Arsenal to win as well. But well, I am the Arsenal fan, but it's a big North London derby Sunday gone, but it's a decent performance. But well done, the guy deserve it indeed, and big up to your captain Son Heung-min. Indeed, well charged. If you get that more time, you would have won that game probably 3-2.
You think?
Well deserved.
Because you mentioned Son, right? So I thought I'd ask you this quickly. The Klopp is a very big fan of Son. Now, obviously, Salah is reportedly been linked with a move away for quite a long time. Do you think he's going to go Saudi next summer? Because obviously, you guys didn't sell him this summer.
Well, he's going to AFCON in January with his country, Egypt, and we need a right winger to replace him for the time being. But if he leave us, but I don't think he will leave because Dominic Supersly asked him to stay. They want him to stay to retire until 2025 because that's the end of his contract at our club. But he'll be looking to be prepared for you guys come Saturday and as well. So we'll be missing him in the January, the when January start because of the AFCON. So he's going away in January with his country. So yeah.
But do you think Klopp might see? I know Son's quite old now, but because I know Son is Klopp is a massive fan of Son. I remember he made comments about him before. Do you see Liverpool making a move for him ever at all?
Well, we never linked to him. We never linked to any Spurs player in the transfer window. We hopefully we can try to do that because we know your guy did the one of our player and that is Luis Diaz. We hijack the guys for him. But Son Heung-min, and he wants to, but Liverpool fans don't want him. So we're okay with Luis Diaz. But that is a great point indeed, Son Heung-min. I'm not sure if you want to leave Spurs despite your guy lost Kane to Bayern Munich. But yes, but I think he will show what he's capable of against us, but the guys have to watch out for Dom, especially him in midfield. So yeah.
Carl, I thought I'd have to talk about this. Penalty, yes or no, for you?
Yeah, listen, I think, I can understand why it's been given. I have to admit, in real time, it wasn't really clear where it had hit him or how much it had hit the arm. You just see, the Arsenal players screaming. But once I think you saw the replay, I can understand why it's given because although I don't think he unnaturally puts his arm up to block the ball, he's stretching, so his arm has gone up. But if the hand doesn't stop the ball, that ball is going in, and Arsenal are going to score another goal. And I think that's why ultimately the VAR officials have come together and sort of said, well, we think this actually needs to be looked at because, if the hand isn't there, the ball's going in. So I always like to switch and think, how would I feel if that had been against us at the other end? And if that had been us at their end and one of their defenders, it hit his hand, I would have been saying, well, that's a penalty because it's going in if it doesn't hit the hand. So it's not deliberate. He's not put his hand up in an unnatural position. But I can kind of say I do think it was a penalty. And once you knew the referee was being asked to go and look at it, then it's going to be given as a penalty. So, but like as we say, his hand wasn't in an unnatural position. I think what we have to realise, the reason I think it's been given is because the ball is going in. So it's not the fact that his arm's in an unnatural position or he means to handball it, but the ball is going in the goal. So I actually think, yes, I can understand the penalty being given. And like I say, if that happened to us at their end, we'd be absolutely fuming if that wasn't given because we would be saying, well, that's in. We should be winning in front, leading the game. So that's the reason I think it's been given. So I'm not as up in arms about that penalty decision as some Spurs fans are, to be honest.
Like myself. Because to me, I don't mind it being given, but there was an incident with, I think even with us and United or something, where Romero handled it early in the season and it wasn't given. So obviously a lot of Man United fans have been saying, oh, why that wasn't given? Because it's more the consistency.
I think the difference there, though, mate, is that shot, he's just standing just inside the penalty area. So there's no way you can know if that ball's going in the goal at that point. I think what's saved us on that day is the VAR officials have thought, we don't really know if that's an unnatural position where his arm is. And ultimately, that you can't tell that ball isn't necessarily going in the goal. It could be a shot that goes over the bar, keeper saves it. And I think that's why on that day, they've come to the conclusion that, well, actually, we don't think that's a penalty. Whereas this one, again, if that was on the edge of the box, I doubt that gets given because it's, like I say, it's not unnatural. He's it's not a deliberate handball. And from there, you can go, is it going in? Is it not? Who knows? For the fact that he was almost on the goal line when he handles it, that's what I think has made them say that they think that should be a penalty.
Because I think, obviously, growing up in the 90s and 2000s, I don't think that would have been given.
No, they wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have, because the view there in those days, wasn't it, was deliberate handball. It has to be deliberate handball. These handball rules, the fact that it's been changed so often tells you that the PG
no one really knows.
they're in chaos over it.
Yeah.
They don't know what to give, what not to give, what to give as penalties, what not to give as penalties. So they really should do themselves a favour and just say, listen, if anything hits the hand in the penalty box, if it's by a defender, it's a penalty. And if it's by a forward, it's a free kick to the defending side. Because you had the goal at the weekend, the Anthony Gordon goal.
Yeah.
Now, if that's a defender, that probably gets looked at. Whereas because he's an attacker, and they will say he wasn't the last player to touch it before going in. But you could argue, but if that ball doesn't hit his hand and stop dead, he doesn't have the opportunity to cross the ball to the goal scorer. So, the handball.
Isn't there a rule, Carl, where if there's a hand within the makings of a goal, any sort of hand, like even if it's like a deflected off someone's hand, that they don't give the goal at all?
Well, I think this is what I say. This is where the rule is so confusing, because it's a bit like the penalty that Wolves got given against them. Now, that was a farce of a decision, because the rule there is if it hits any part of the body and then hits the hand, can't be classed as handball. So that shouldn't have been a penalty.
But then they gave.
Yeah, and this one, I think if you deliberately handball it and you score the goal, then the goal is ruled out. But if you're not the last player, so where Anthony Gordon, it hit his hand, but because he wasn't the player who put the ball in the net, that's not looked at. And if he'd smashed the shot in from that angle and scored, they would have ruled that out as being handball in the lead up to a goal. But I think even the officials are confused at this point.
I'm just, because I'm watching games now, and it's just VAR. It was supposed to correct mistakes, and I feel like it's creating more. In the sense that obviously now we check most decisions, like obviously the contentious ones, I say, and then it takes another minute or 2 minutes, and obviously the fans get agitated because there's no decision, and then obviously it says on the screen VAR, check handball, whatever.
Yeah,
and then. But obviously, I'm a person who plays football every week. I'm actually going to play football later. And nowadays, I don't even have my hands out when I'm blocking the ball. I just have it stand behind my back, because I'm so scared that if you just your hands are out, even in natural
the art
position,
of defending has had to change.
Position. Because obviously, we criticise Eric Dyer, for example, who putting his hands behind his back. But at the same time, you kind of don't blame him in the sense that it hits his hand.
Modern defending, you have got to try and get those arms out the way, away from the ball, because you do run the risk of a penalty being given. But I have some sympathy with them over that handball, and I wasn't surprised when you saw the replay that he was asked to go to the screen. But then at the same time, later in the game, VAR is just absolutely horrendous when it doesn't get involved when it should.
Saka,
the Nketiah, ridiculous.
Yeah. So Jordan, did you see the penalty shout by any chance?
No. Only man for balloon. Only for the Salah one. The Salah own word. That's a great point. I never saw the Spurs the penalty that given for this in that game, but I know that Saka scored. But we know we got penalty. We got penalty every single year. We Salah get fouled. So
Okay.
So
you saying get penalty every single year against Spurs? So Jordan, you say you get penalty every single year?
If the guy fouled him,
fouled him.
Yeah, he's our number one penalty taker. So so Salah is our number one.
Well, I'm asking if you saw there was a handball against Spurs against Arsenal, and Romero apparently handled it. Did you see it?
I heard about the own goal that Romeo scored. That's the only one. That's the only thing I heard. That own goal. I never heard about the penalty, but the own goal I heard. I heard about the own goal that he scored. to give Arsenal the lead. Then Saka scored the penalty after the own goal he scored.
Okay. I was just wondering if you saw the penalty decision because I was trying to get someone else's view on it. So on the back of this, Carl, can we go beat Liverpool now? Do you think?
Well, obviously, we'll go into that game with more confidence, that's for sure. I think that result gives us a lot more confidence to go into this game, especially being at home, feeling like, we can go toe-to-toe with Liverpool. And, if we play as well as we can do, then obviously, you'd give us a chance, being at home. You'd have to think, well, Spurs are playing well, Liverpool are playing well. Spurs at home, you'd like to think there's a small advantage there. But again, it'll be another tough game that, again, will show us whereabouts this team might be come the end of the season, because it's okay playing, we've had the intensity of the North London derby. Can we recover now and almost have to go again at the same sort of intensity a week later and match a team the same way again? That's a big test sometimes. Sometimes you have breaks between these games where you'll play another lesser team, but to play two back-to-back sides like this will be a big test for us.
The only time I remember this happening, I don't think it was immediately back-to-back, was under Redknapp's tenure when he came in the first few games. I think we had Arsenal away. Was Liverpool at home straight after, or did we have
was at home after. I think it was the game after where Pavlyuchenko gets the 90th minute winner.
Yeah, because I think we won at home to Bolton, we drew 4-4 to Arsenal, and then we went and beat Liverpool's unbeaten record at the time, 2-1. I remember I was at that game actually, and so we have had it back to back. But obviously back then, again, you could kind of parallel it because he was kind of forming a new side. Do you think the same might happen again?
I'd like to think so. If you offered me a 2-1 win now before kickoff, I'll bite your hand off for it. And like I say, it's going to be a tough game, but if we play as well as we have been, then why can't we get a result?
Oh, Jordan's smiling, so he doesn't believe it. So Jordan, so Spurs went and drew at Arsenal. Do you think we can beat you guys now?
No way, not chance, man. The only way you guys gonna beat us is by keeping Salah out of the game, Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai. If that doesn't happen, you're done. We don't have Firmino anymore. But Salah is a goal scoring so not a chance. Not a chance, man. Not a chance. We're not Arsenal. We're not Chelsea. We're Liverpool. So if you guys come, we're going to be pumped, ready to see what you guys do at your home turf. Because we beat you there already, and we know you guys have Richarlison that I know very well. So I'm not afraid of Richarlison. None of us we know him, former Merseyside player, but I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday to beat the guys. We're still unbeaten. We're going top this weekend. So we're going for the lead.
So I know you guys. You told me in chat you guys are playing tonight. I didn't actually know that. Do you think Klopp will rest players tonight for Saturday?
Yes. We're going to rest the likes of Salah. We're going to rest the likes of I think Darwin, Allison, Trent is back in training. He'll be ready for you guys on the weekend. And Kostas Tsimikas will be starting tonight. Andy Roberts will be resting. So resting players. We have Collier that won us this cup competition before as well, and we're resting players for the weekend game. So so Salah will be resting. So he will not be played tonight. It's Ben Doak at right wing, and Ryan Gravenberch and Mark alongside Harvey Elliott in midfield, and Shot and Cody up front. So
I was going to ask you about Darwin Núñez. Obviously, Liverpool paid a lot of money for him, and last season he came under a lot of criticism from not just Liverpool fans, but a lot of opposing fans. Do you think in this season he's starting to play now?
Yes. Now we're just figuring out the Benfica one. We're seeing the Benfica Darwin Núñez now.
So do you think we should be scared of him on the weekend then? Do you think he'll start? Do you think he'll start?
Yes.
You think he'll start?
I want him to start on Saturday. If he doesn't start, and if the guy scored against us, we came back against every opponent we play, like Newcastle. They take the lead. We came back ourselves him as a super sub. We do it against Bournemouth, Wolves. We do it against Lask. So we have players that can help us to get back in the game, and Klopp is doing a fantastic job and letting us not conceding again a second goal, and we win 3-1. So if you guys take the lead, Saturday come, we will come back and win the game.
You seem very confident. So I think, Carl, when's the last time we actually beat Liverpool at home?
Cool. When was the last time we beat Liverpool at home? Is it go back to Wembley? Yeah. Was that the 4-1 at Wembley? And then, because after that season, that's when they then went out and got Van Dijk and Alisson, didn't they? And I think from that point, we haven't really had much success against them since that day. Yeah. You sort of thought we were the team that should really have been in Liverpool's position after that, but never took advantage the way that they did.
Because obviously, we drew to them. Was it 2-2 last season?
Last season, yeah. Was
and under Conte, and he played quite an attacking lineup, which wasn't very Conte-like. I think did Dele play? I think, and Ndombele played.
And Ndombele played because I think he set Kane up for the first, didn't he?
Yeah. So he played quite an attacking lineup on the most part, which is very unlike him.
Okay.
Do you think that we might go that way again? Or do you think he won't tweak it at all?
He won't tweak it at all. I mean, I think last week showed you that Ange isn't going to suddenly drop to a back five and suddenly start playing low block football. This is a coach now who's trying to build a philosophy. He's trying to build a style of play, and he'll stick to his guns by the looks of it, and he'll just continue to play the way he wants to play. And I'd be very much surprised if chances are you won't see Johnson. I don't think. I think they'll probably rest him, and you'll see Solomon probably start again out wide on the left. But other than that, probably an unchanged team if everyone's fit.
I was going to ask you, what do you think of Solomon last match? Because I thought he came on, it didn't really have much of an effect on the game at all, if I'm being honest. My dad makes this comparison. Maybe you remember this player a lot better than I did because I was quite young when this player was playing. But was it Jose Dominguez?
Oh, yeah. Jose Dominguez, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they're actually quite similar players in a sense? Or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously both were small, both were kind of stocky, and both loved taking people on. But ultimately, I think the Prem then sort of found them out after a little while, and they didn't really have the long-term effect that they would have been hoping. But I felt it was difficult for Solomon. And again, you could probably say the same as you said in the week about Richarlison, that when they both come on, I think that was the point where we had settled and were settling for a draw. And ultimately, once you had Maddison go off, that's the player who's going to find you with key passes and help the creativity. And, when you come on in a game like that, it's hard to kind of find the pace of the game and get into it. So I think it would be harsh to judge Solomon too much on that game. I like what I've seen from him so far. He likes to take people on. I think he's going to be an inconsistent player for a little bit of time. 1 week, even in games, he'll have 5-minute spells where he's unplayable and he's taking people on. But then he might go 20 minutes, 30 minutes where he doesn't manage to take someone on. He might misplace a few passes. So I think he's going to be a little bit hit and miss right now. And as we've seen, once Johnson is fully fit and recovered from that muscle injury, I think Ange has shown that he's probably going to prefer Johnson on that left-hand side with that front three when they're all fit. But I wouldn't be disappointed if Solomon starts against Liverpool because, he played the Burnley game, he played the Sheffield United game, and I felt he did okay at points in those games. So yeah, nothing to worry about there. But he will be inconsistent, I think.
But don't you think the wing area is up for grabs? Because obviously Son's probably going to take the striker position at this point. Because obviously Richardson's not really. I don't really think he's really had. He had his run of games, and then obviously he got this knock, and then he came sort of back, and now he's out the team again. But you'd imagine Son's place is basically sewn up for now. But do you think those wings are more open for players to get in? Because obviously, as you know, for the minute's time, I'm going to say he struggled on the right hand side. Right, seeing play in the middle, and I'm not just the only Spurs fan saying that he's been struggling on the right. Maybe not the middle part, but and obviously on the left we saw Johnson last match, and Nicholas Solomon came on. Solomon played the game before that, so it seems like that's kind of up for grabs. Do you see him making like a new front three, and do you think there'll be like a first choice front three and then like a second choice front three? Of course, Perisic is injured now, so that brings up another issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think the as you say, those wing positions are up for grabs, and I even mean the right side with Kulu, because, like as you say, that in all honesty, he hasn't been great at the start of this season. You know, outside of the goal against Sheffield United, I thought he was fortunate that he didn't come off in that game before that, because he was pretty poor. And again, at the weekend, he kind of seemed to run out of steam come the 70th minute, and he wasn't anywhere near as effective in the second half. So yeah, I think both the wing positions are positions that if someone came in and suddenly started playing really well and scoring goals, like if Johnson had started that if Johnson hadn't picked up that injury, scored in the North London derby, and then went on a run of games scoring and playing well, he'd be a guaranteed starter. But at the moment, I do think either of those positions out wide, if someone was to get a game and play really well and have a long period, a sustained period of playing well, they'll keep that shirt. So I do think those two positions are up for grabs. And we might even see Richarlison start out wide. You know, you could see Richarlison start on the left in this Liverpool game, you know, where he used to play for Everton. And again, if he was to come on and put a really good sustained spell of games together, then I think he'd keep the shirt at that point.
I mean, Jordan's smiling when I mentioned Richarlison. Yeah, he's like, no. So I was going to ask you about Liverpool's front three, because of course, Liverpool are sort of a team in a rebuilding phase, you could say. What is your front three this season? And obviously your midfield three as well, because that's had a sort of rebuild. And what do you expect from them? Because I think Liverpool are going through some sort of transition too.
Yes. We have 4 signings in the club.
Yeah.
Dom, Endo, Ma. Those are our new front four midfielders. Our front three, we have likes of Salah, the Egyptian king, the skillest player of all time, so to be following the footsteps of the legends that used to play for us. Darwin Núñez, he came to Liverpool to challenge Bobby Firmino for that number 9 that he wore at Benfica. Now he got it. Luis Diaz finally got the number 7 that he was worn at FC Porto. But the front three is going to be very dangerous up front now, because Darwin is scoring goals. Luis Diaz over by the left wing. He also doing a fantastic job. Salah dribbling very good. And for us, as I know, we did get rid of a couple of our players that won the league, because for the newcomers that we have, some that is in the we're at our club at top of the close to the ceiling top there, so we are banned. The newcomers them are banned from touching it. So but the front four, I'm happy for the front four. Them Ryan Gravenberch, indeed coming from the Bundesliga, Endo as well coming from the Bundesliga. Alex McAllister, I don't have any problem with him. He's a very we're going up against Brighton after you guys. So that's next week. So I'm looking forward to see.
Is your front three? Sorry, Jordan. Is your front three now like Diaz, Núñez, and Salah now? Is that your front three? Yeah, Diaz,
Yeah.
Nunez, Salah.
But Gakpo is a left winger, but he's,
Yeah, I thought
him
about
and
that.
Shatta is challenging Diaz for that position. Yeah. So Gakpo and Shatta is challenging Diaz, but Diaz trying to keep his place at left wing. But yeah, so our midfield is officially completed with four midfielders. But these three, Dam, Endo, and Ryan is learning has learned, but Mark has the Premier League experience. But we are looking forward to see what he bring. We need he should start score some goals, but he make an assist against West Ham first, and happy for him. He claimed to us to win trophies. So yeah, so I'm
So
looking
what
forward
what
to see what he will bring.
what what Liverpool midfield three do you expect to play on Saturday then?
Well, probably
Which
we
three
could use
midfielders do you think?
Endo or Mark. Club will always go like Curtis Jones
Yeah,
because
because last game you
Curtis
played spots like
he's a good
Curtis
player. He's
Jones
more
and McAllister, didn't you? I think.
and Mark. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Curtis has more spaces to try to cut into midfield, and now he's getting in. He's now getting on. He's now Mark. So him and Mark they know the league, but Dam is learning. So you will see what he capable of. We know he scored his first goal, but he's not finished yet. He got more to come, but we have to give him time. But I'm happy for him scoring his first Premier League goal. But the front three is gonna be dangerous this season. Salah, he won the golden boots again, and also he did a very fantastic with three hat trick of assists in the Wolves game. So if he doesn't score against Spurs, he's gonna make assists. So keep a close eye on that because he will do damage. So
So
yeah,
so with
we
yeah. So I was going to say, obviously Liverpool missed out on Lavia and Caicedo. I couldn't help but not mention this.
mhm,
So are you guys
mhm.
disappointed that you missed out on them, or are you guys okay because you signed obviously this
Yeah,
Endo,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
uh,
Because
McAllister and
yeah,
spots like?
they want them. But first we did look at we were looking at Thuram from Nice
Yeah,
to come
yeah,
in as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Or we didn't get him. And then after chat we have forced to go to look at Lavia. Lavia, they want Liverpool. Everybody was talking about that Liverpool, Lavia. It didn't happen. Caicedo making decisions. He want Chelsea. So we just decided, so okay then we go for someone else and we get Mark and we got Endo and then we got Ryan. So we got the Mark, Endo and now Ryan's. But well, if that's decision for Caicedo, well, he's gonna play against his former club Brighton. I think yes, it's today. So he's going up against former club in the FA in the Carabao Cup. So I wish him all the best, but he should have been playing for us. But that's how it goes. So yeah, but we're happy
Yeah, I was just wondering if you were
what we have
disappointed
now.
about it
So
or
yeah.
not, because I was just wondering if you were disappointed about it or not, because obviously you did
Yeah,
sign Gravenberch and yeah.
well, because when we did forget Caicedo, we were excited. Well, yes, Caicedo is gonna be a Liverpool player, and then
Mm.
next day we heard, oh, he's at London. Instead, he's at Merseyside. He's in London, England, Chelsea, and then he decides to look. He's going to just pick Chelsea over Liverpool because we pay 100 ad for him, and then he rejected it and stick to his words, and we just use that money that he rejected and buy Ryan Gravenberch, and we got him on deadline day this month, the first of this month. So yeah,
Okay. So on that evidence, Carl, with obviously Liverpool's tons of midfield options, obviously our midfield kind of picks itself right now. You've got Saar, Bissouma, and Madison, who I expect to start if they're all fit. Obviously Madison has this little might have a knock, but I think he's probably going to be all right to play. Who do you think is going to win the midfield battle?
A tough one, to be honest, because as you say, both teams have got midfields that are playing well at the moment, and that sends each into a game with confidence, doesn't it? I think if we can see the Basuma that played the second half at the Emirates, then because the first half he was a little bit shaky and not his usual calm, composed self. So if he can be back on his game like he managed to get back hold of it in the second half, then he's going to be one of the key players. And obviously Maddison, if he is fully fit and he can get around the pitch, then hopefully it gives us a good chance to go toe to toe with Liverpool in the midfield. And give them as good as they give us. I think both teams have got players in the midfield that you have to watch out for and that can hurt you if you don't give them the sort of respect that they deserve. So it's going to be a tough battle in there, and one that you actually come away saying you couldn't really easily pick a winner because you've got cons and pros for both of those teams. Liverpool will have Trent, and if Trent plays, we know that he'll like to drop in there. And with his array of passing, he can really hurt you. This is going to be a tough one that could go either way. It just will depend what three turn up on the day, I think.
Because like you mentioned how Basuma struggled in the first half, and we do only have one game a week because obviously we got knocked out the Carabao Cup in the first round. We're not in Europe, and obviously he took off. Who was it? No, did they both stay on? Sorry, I can't remember. Did they both stay on? Did they take one of them off?
Basuma and Sarr stayed on.
He took Maddison off for Højbjerg.
Took Maddison and Son, yeah.
He settled on the draw. I noticed something in that game that I felt almost like in these, maybe it'll be a strategy in these big games, I don't know, but Basuma and Sarr were almost playing as a two, I felt, in some instances, transitions in that game. And Maddison was almost playing, it was like we're playing a 4-2-3-1. That's what came across to me. Do you think we'll use similar tactics against Liverpool then?
I think he'll ask them to go out and start the game the way they've started other games. I mean, Maddison was dropping and had to start dropping really deep at the Emirates, didn't he? Because obviously in that first 15, 20 minutes, we weren't really having much joy on the ball. And I think Maddison was like, listen, I might need to go back here and kind of get hold of this ball and try and get us on the front foot. So I think we'll start, if you like, maybe a little bit more aggressively, hopefully, than we did at the Emirates. I think then naturally, if you go away from home against one of those big teams, you naturally say, listen, we're not going to go over the top attacking early on, because as Arsenal showed in the week, if you want to commit suicide, they're a team that can take you apart. So you don't go and do nothing too brash, but you play your normal game. But being at home, I think we'll be a little bit more on the front foot than we were in that Arsenal game to begin the game, and we'll try and be a little bit more aggressive. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Maddison being told, well, this is a game where we want you further forward because we think we might have more possession, and we want to try and be on the front foot. But the game will change as it goes. I'm sure those three have been told there are rotation options in there and different styles of play when the game, if the game or the game scenario suits that sort of approach. So yeah, I think we'll be a little bit more on the front foot to begin with, and then you just see where the game takes you from there, don't you?
Because if we were playing away, I'd be a bit more worried that we might lose it, because having two back-to-back away games against the top six, if you want to call it that, is like very difficult. But the fact we're playing at home afterwards kind of gives me a bit more of a confidence, because obviously we're coming off the back of a good result, obviously in North London derby, and we can take that momentum into the next game. I think if we were travelling away from home at Anfield, I'd be thinking these players are giving up so much energy the last week. Will they be able to give up the same amount of energy the next week? Because it will take probably a lot out of them by the time you get to that point. Because being at home, do you think we have a much, much better chance than if we were playing away?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, you would sit there and say by being at home gives you more of an advantage than if we was going to Anfield, because Anfield is a difficult place to go. Again, it's a sort of ground that if the crowd get up for it and you get the crowd on your back, that can, it's almost like a 12th man for Liverpool, isn't it? So, yeah, being at home gives us that little bit more of an advantage. But let's make no mistake, this is a dangerous Liverpool side who've scored 3 goals in their last 4 out of their last 5 games. So this is a side that you can't take for granted, and you can't just think, oh, because we're at home, we'll win this. This is a team that can score goals if they want to. And, all the areas on the pitch will need to, again, turn up and play to the sort of highest level they can. Because if we don't, Liverpool have got a team that can easily tear you apart.
Jordan, obviously you mentioned your array of midfielders. Yeah. Who do you think will win the midfield battle on Saturday?
On Sunday.
On Saturday, yeah. Who do you think will
win
the midfield
Ryan.
battle? Sorry?
Think Ryan.
Ryan? Right, do you say Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan. Ryan Gravenberch.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Ryan.
Okay, sorry, I didn't think you meant, sorry. So do you think Liverpool win the midfield battle? Why do you say that?
Well, we have a strong midfield and ready for challenge that Spurs has to bring to us, because Alexis McAllister, I don't know, he won the World Cup last year with Argentina. So the midfield is going to be very good. Dominic Szoboszlai, you see what he did against Chelsea in the first game? How much they won at Stamford Bridge? He's also going to be the clinical player to watch out for. He's very good. He's very quick. If we don't have Matip run up, he's there. He's going to really chat down everybody. So if Son Heung-min trying to sprint, let's see who's going to be the quickest player come Saturday. Will it be Son? Will it be the but I think it's going to be the but midfield. It's going to be I think one of them is going to go for it. Ryan and I think Dom is very quick. So watch out for the Hungarian. Well, this is the first time playing Premier League, but he's very good. So we don't have to worry about Kane again. Oh yeah, I have to worry about Son Heung-min.
Harry Kane. I knew to say Harry Kane at some point. But do you think Liverpool win the midfield battle then, despite the fact Spurs have obviously Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison?
Yes, Dominic Szoboszlai. Yeah, Dominic Szoboszlai. Dominic Szoboszlai.
Yeah, you seem very confident going into. I have to admit, Szoboszlai is a really good player from what I've seen of him. Yeah. So this
is his first time playing against the guys doable.
So Carl, your starting lineup, are you making any changes?
Well, I think Solomon probably comes in for Johnson, because I guess it will all depend on if Johnson's recovered from that muscle strain. If Johnson has recovered and they feel he's good enough to go, then I think I wouldn't be surprised to see the same lineup. If they're a little bit unsure about his fitness and whether that muscle, they might be scared that, playing him again could possibly rule him out for longer, then I think you see Solomon step in like he has done before that. But I don't see any other changes than that. I think we were questioning whether Emerson could come in for Porro on the weekend. The fact he didn't and Porro had a good game, I think that nails Porro on to start again for us in this game. So he's kind of nailing down that right back position as each week goes on, isn't he? Because he's getting better and better as the season goes on. So no, I think it's just purely that left-hand side and seeing who's fit.
So no possible change on the right then, you don't think?
No, I don't think so. I think he's going to stick with Kulusevski, but I do think the time is running out for him to put in, what I consider a really good performance over the course of 90 minutes, because he seems to at the moment be only having sort of like 20-minute, half-hour spells of a game where he's dangerous, and outside of that, the game's kind of passing him by, and he's becoming a little bit too predictable. as well. It's obvious that he gets it down the wing. He's going to cut back in to try and whip it with his left foot. And yeah, I think teams are starting to work out it's becoming a little bit too easy to kind of know what he's going to try and do. And that kind of nullifies his threat, to be honest. So yeah, his position is up for grabs, I think, if someone comes in and started playing well.
What I found quite interesting was obviously when I saw the starting lineup initially on Sunday, I kind of thought Kulusevski might move to the left and Johnson might play on the right, because Johnson played on the right last game and also he played on the right for Forest most of the time. He does obviously have a spell in the middle, but if you ask any Forest fans, they'll tell you he plays predominantly on the right. Do you think, because obviously he played down the left, do you think that Kulu will never be moved off the right? Or do you think that, what does Kulu need to do to convince people to stay down, to stay in the side?
You desperately want. You're so desperate to see him get a game in the middle, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's like
it's not
you
that.
just
It's
want to see him move.
so frustrating. It's just frustrating watching him. Because obviously Perisic is out now, so you can't put Perisic on the left and say put Johnson on the right and try something different, or Solomon on the right.
I think the only way you see Kulu get given a run or get even given a sniff of starting in, say, that number 10 Maddison position is if Maddison is injured and can't start. If when Maddison went down in that North London derby, that had been a bad injury like we was fearing it was at the beginning, then I think you could see and possibly thinking, well, maybe it could be worth giving him a try, because we need a creative spark. Maddison's out. Your only other option really is Lo Celso, and let's face it, even the cameo we saw from him a little while ago didn't convince me that he can come in and do that job. I just think while Maddison's fit, Kulusevski's always going to be stuck out in a wide position. Now, yes, he may one day try Johnson on the right and Kulusevski on the left, and see how that goes. But I think I think they seem to like him on the right hand side. And ultimately, it might just be that if it's not working, then we'll just see someone else get given a chance and Kulu rested, to be honest.
So, obviously, I'm not the only one who thinks he's struggling down there. Do you think it's to do with the system? Because he did play in a 3 under Conte in a 3-4-3. Or do you think it's what he's been asked to do? Why do you think his time is running out?
You can't put your finger on it, can you? Like as I said a minute ago, I think one of the problems could be he is quite predictable in that we all know he wants to cut in on that left foot. And that was one of the things that he wasn't when he first joined. After January when he joined, he was one of them elusive players that just when you thought you knew what he was going to do, he'd do something different. And he seems to have lost that right now. Let's say he has just at this moment in time, for me, he's become a very predictable player. And ultimately, when you become predictable, teams can easily mark you and set plans for you and set traps for you that nullify your threat. And ultimately, everybody knows he's not going to go on the right hand. He's not going to cut back and go down the right hand side because he can't use his right foot. So he's always going to attempt to come inside you and try and whip a ball in or whip a shot in. So just don't allow him to cut inside. And I think that kind of is affecting his game slightly. We know he had a knock at some point, so whether or not is he still possibly carrying some form of aggravating injury, because we've seen it in the past where these guys, like with Son, where suddenly you find out, oh well, listen, he's had to go and have some surgery because he's been carrying this niggle for 7 months. So yeah, who knows? But he does need to start performing better, because I do think his place is up for grabs at some point.
And there's a reason kind of why I know it's off topic, why I did the stream at this time. So the Liverpool team is actually out for tonight. Kelleher, Jones, Konate, Kwanzaa, Shimikas, Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Doak, Jota, and Gakpo start, which means they've rested a whole host of players for the weekend. So I don't think we expect a weekend side on Saturday now. So I was going to ask Jordan for his starting line, but now I kind of said it. So Jordan, what's your match prediction for Saturday?
We know we always give opponents so much chances when they play us. Like, yeah, when we take the lead and find a way to come back. When them take the lead, like look at Newcastle United game, the lead against us, we came back to win 3-1. Wolves did the same. And if the guys scored early in the game, we're gonna find a way and beat the guys. I think I'm gonna go for a 3-1. Because if you guys score for us, we're gonna come back in the second half and win. So
Well,
yeah,
3-1
I'm
to
going for a
Spurs or
3-1
3-1 to
defense.
Liverpool?
So I'm going for a massive win.
3-1 to
Liverpool.
Liverpool or 3-1
So
to
yeah,
Liverpool?
Darwin again.
Uh,
Liverpool,
Darwin Nunes.
Darwin Nunes, Diaz, and Stamford. That's what I told you guys, and we just finish it off. And then go rest for the Brighton game. We have a home game in Europa League. So yep, 3-1
So,
wins.
Carl, I don't know if you've seen much of Nunes this season, but obviously last season he came under a lot of scrutiny from a lot of Liverpool fans, and I think just opposing fans, because obviously he cost so much, and he came in the league and he was not that great. He missed a couple of big chances. I think one against Arsenal, if I can recall. Do you think this season he's come into his own
Last
and
season,
in
yeah.
the second season in the league?
Yeah, well, I mean, you sit there now, don't you think he's had a season to adjust and kind of find out what the league's all about. I think we saw last season that, he does look like he can be a real dangerous player. He's got pace, he's got strength, and if he's on form, then he can be a headache for defenders. So you can only assume that having had a season to adjust and find his feet a little bit more, he'll come good. He started this season well. The couple of goals at Newcastle were really good finishes that would build confidence. So I wouldn't surprise me if he had a good season this season. His trouble is whether he can nail down a regular place in that side, or whether too much rotation kind of disrupts the way that he starts playing. But he's definitely a dangerous player that I think will only get better as the seasons go on. That's for sure.
And also, what's your match prediction for Saturday?
So we can't. We're not going to keep a clean sheet. I don't think we'll manage to keep a clean sheet against this Liverpool side, because that is a strong attacking unit. So for me, I wouldn't be surprised to see another draw, possibly another 2-2 draw. But I might go brave and predict a 2-1 to Spurs. Jordan's just going to send Jordan into meltdown.
Yeah.
I think.
I predicted 2-1 Tottenham as well. I don't think Jordan agrees with it.
He's not happy. Yeah.
So before we end the stream, Jordan, where can we find you next?
Well, you can find me on Jordan Diamond NFC. I do daily Liverpool contents. I do also rivalry. When we're playing in rival clubs, Newcastle, Arsenal. I have Arsenal fans on, but I'll be having them on December. I have them on every year on my channel. Yeah. So coming up, what I'm going to do after the game today, I'll be doing a match reaction for the game between Leicester and us, and then a match reaction against you guys, and then a match reaction against Brighton, and then the Europa League watch along for first home game of the Europa League season. So that's have stuff to come, and I'm on the road to 2K for the first time. So yeah, this is my first time going for 2K.
Oh, well done. And Carl, when can we find you next, and where?
So I think we're doing something Friday, aren't we?
Friday.
South,
yes.
on
Jordan, you coming on Friday's show as well at 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Osprey will be back on View from the South on Friday at 6 o'clock.
That's it. Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah.
It will be back.
Yeah. And obviously, are you guys doing content on that Spurs podcast, or are you yourself doing content on that Spurs podcast?
Yeah, we're sticking some stuff out there, fitting it in and around doing some other channels and other stuff for other people. So yeah, we start fitting some stuff in on that channel now, and hopefully soon we'll get you on Has for an hour to chat all things Spurs. So yeah, get over there, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you again Friday.
Yeah, we'll see you again Friday. View from the south to do this again. I feel like it's coming like a recurrence. Which is the same team on Wednesday, the same team on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No rotation.
Yeah. So before we leave you guys, come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Reds.